Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode here of the Lonely Wrist podcast. I am your host, as always, Blake Ray. And today's guest lives at the crossroads of history, design, and storytelling. She is the head of heritage for one of my favorite watch brands. I'm sure you guys already know that I'm talking about Zenith. She carries more than 160 years of watchmaking excellence while keeping it relevant for the new generation. Her work is not only about preserving watch archives, but it is bringing the brand's legacy to life through products, experiences, and narratives that connect the past to the present. Please welcome, for the first time in two different ways, having Zenith on for the second time, and the first director or head of heritage of any watch brand to come on the show. Please welcome Laurence Bodenmann.
Thank you so much, Blake. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to join you for this.
Yeah, this is fun. I'm so excited. Obviously, we've talked. Funny enough, I was actually working on some of my okay, there we go. I was working on some of my content for from Watches and Wonders. I know I'm still so behind on all of that. And during the 160th anniversary party, like, I'm filming and then I pan over and there you are standing right there. And so, like, we were maybe like 5 feet away from each other before I knew you and who you were. And then after, now that we're working on another project together and I formally got connected to you, I just thought that was kind of fun, and there was some irony there.
Well, that's great. What did you think about the 160th booth for Watches and Wonders? Did you have fun?
It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. The party was exceptional. You guys, yeah, I mean, all the releases were amazing. I mean, the GFJ, right? I mean, that was the one I think that stole the show, in my opinion. And just to see you guys kind of having fun with, you know, your heritage pieces, or, you know, your core collection, I guess, is probably a better representation. Yeah, that was amazing. And the DJ was really good. You had a good DJ you guys hired.
We know how to party, it seems.
I see that.
The idea was to go and travel through 160 years of history, but not in a heavy way. It was to celebrate, you know, the generations of the Zenithians all around the world, with 160 years of advertisement, of milestones, not from a Zenith perspective, but of what it brought to watchmaking. And then you had also the pillars with our colleagues from the marketing team. They did an extraordinary job on the manufacture, bringing on the manufacture to Watches and Wonders, actually, because it was the first verticalized manufacturer in Switzerland. So hence the name Zenith. And also we wanted to say not everything that we had done for 160 years, but who we are today with 160 years of legacy. So the pillars of the collections and the heritage distinctive ingredients that's triggered the development.
I didn't realize that until, like, I sat down with Ava. Obviously, Ava is a good friend of mine and the channel, and she helped when I did the manufacturer tour. And she's lovely. But after she showed us some of the pieces, she took us through the back, like, offices there, and was showing us all the furniture that she pulled in for, you know, so every single room, you know, like, I guess it was like a conference room or like a meeting room where you guys meet with your partners or whatever, your retailers. Every single room was decorated to like a specific period, and the furniture was designed to match that period. And I was like,
she did
wow.
this amazing job. Like, also it's in line with the keeping history on the level of what interests people. Like, you have like these icons of design, but wait, you have created icons of design. So yeah, I'm glad you had fun.
I loved it. The party was amazing. I got this. I was literally like right there when the cake was coming out, and I have like you guys had a 1, a 6, and a 0 cake, and they passed me, and then I guess you had some like I don't know if he was like some Korean ambassador or some I don't know some guy on stage. I don't know anything about all
Exactly.
that,
Yeah,
but
that's one
no,
of our ambassadors, and it's cool because they all came. You know, it's actually a Japanese ambassador,
oh okay, I'm sorry,
and
sorry.
yeah, but it's not. We the cake was also made from an ambassador, so we have this connection also with people that are really like they are not being. We don't force them to wear their watches. They just want to do it, and they want to do the cake and so on. So that's like a happy family celebration.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean it was amazing. Also in tragic news, I hate to bring up tragedies, but one of your ambassadors passed away recently, Felix Baumgartner. I'm sure you probably heard
Yeah,
about that.
of course, and it is definitely like we paid tribute to him. Not knowing this, you can see there was an advertisement showing his
Like
jump from
free
the
fall.
stratosphere. That's
Yeah.
definitely one of the feat that is marking the history of Zenith, and one of the distinctive features that that people associate with Zenith. So very important moment, and actually kind of great. This is something I didn't tell anyone outside of the manufacturer. We are living an intern moment because we are doing the 160th um, cine club. That's when you have films in the
Yeah.
cinema and you have a
Sure.
club looking at this. Well, we are very lucky to have movies from 1906
Oh wow.
already in the first. It's the first one of the first of the state of Neuchâtel here, and then Zenith subsequently consequently went on with different films all over the years. And what we did is a selection of these movies, and in one of these important movie, you can see the jump from the stratosphere. So even my colleagues don't know it yet, and
Oh,
this is going to be great. Being together
sure.
to rediscover these things.
Yeah, and most people don't know that he had what was it, a chronomaster, he had some type of chronomaster on his wrist when he jumped from
Yeah, it was a
out.
stratus. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy, and to think some of my friends are scared to play tennis with their watches, So, um, let's jump into it. I'm curious about how you got into place with Zenith and the heritage department, and tell us about your evolution of keeping the preserving the legacy of the brand. I don't think anybody on my podcast has ever had this type of experience, so this is crazy for us. So
Okay, so with great pleasure. I'm actually an anthropologist, so it's about being interested in how people function, and their
mm,
representations and the norms and representations that guide their actions, also the social actions. And of course it's the best to work with sources to try to reconstruct the logics and the states of mind behind the developments in a manufacturer like Zenith, because Zenith, I then started in the museum, actually in public collections,
mm.
and we all knew, it was, for example, I also work on your continent at the NAWCC museum in Colombia.
Oh wow,
It was
wow,
a
nice.
great place. I mean, and the library is extraordinary. and the membership. So the people are with their chapters. It's amazing. It's what does the watchmaking, and we all knew from the museum world that Zenith had all its sources. Like, you may know, we have more than 1 kilometer archives. It's actually 1.3,
Wow.
so we are going towards the mile of archives. And that's not even counting the ones from the past years. So that's amazing. We have more than 5,000 pieces in the collection, not only wristwatches or pocket watches, all sorts of timekeepers and even objects. And the tools, machinery was built on site at Zenith. So it's basically a playground, incredible playground to go beyond what was done, the final product, and to try to understand why it was developed this way and not the other way. By going and having a peek into these sources, you you go into the logics of the persons that did it, and the persons, not only individuals but as groups. Like, for example, where do they put the identification number? It means something. It's not always like it's. I'm not only talking about Zenith watches now. It's about any watch or any object. Actually, you where do you identify it? Does it mean that this part is going to be interchangeable or not? Thanks to the identification number, is what is the component that decides which reference it is? Is it the combination of dial and case, or is it just the case and then you have variations of dials? Things like this that you would never be able to access to without having these sources at disposal. Because, and this is actually what kind of happens in museum collections, is that you have these amazing objects documenting the history of watchmaking, but you never get to have a peek into their production registers, and the context of productions. And this is what brought me here, and this is also what heritages are about. You have this mission of not only it's not only about preserving the legacy, you know, it's about
Yeah.
preserving the sources that help you make the what was done understandable to the current teams and to the collectors and to yourself, to the because you have to understand why. And then by doing this, you are basically developing the legacy. I'm
That
not sure
is
if that
crazy.
was clear.
I think so. I hope so. So yeah, no, it seems like you're really trying to jump into the minds of people who, were before you at the brand, and trying to get into their thought process, and trying to not only preserve the timepieces that they build, but preserve their
We are
strategy, and
thinking. Yeah.
yeah, their way of thinking, their execution. Super interesting, super crazy, and I'm sure that's probably a very challenging task. But I'm super curious, because I've been through some of the archives when I was there with Ava, and I'm curious, obviously having such a vast archive, like you probably discover new things every day, which is probably interesting. And then
Absolutely.
what is more exciting to you, as somebody who's in charge of heritage? Is it, finding a diagram that represents a movement, or an illustration of a watch that never existed, or is it, even finding a piece that maybe you was buried in the back of the vault or something? What's the most interesting
uh,
to you?
every single one of these things you mentioned happened. So it is our daily job to make new discoveries, and for example, one of the last discoveries we made is basically about these firsts. You always want to document the firsts,
Yeah.
and because it's one of the actually super good question of the colleagues, also to help understand what distinguishes Zenith from today's perspective also. And it's not, the firsts are not necessarily acknowledged as being first at the time they are done, because
Right.
people will just do it, and then afterwards you realize, oh. And one of these first hidden firsts was the first use of ceramic in watchmaking, it seems.
Wow.
So known so far, we are in 1981, and Zenith on the like completely futuristic watch model uses a part in ceramic. So not the complete watch is a case in a ceramic, but one
Sure.
of the features is in ceramic, and in a totally different logic. And this is where it starts being interesting. It's like, oh, why would they use ceramic at the time? Well, maybe
Mm.
it's to have an extra um, high to put the level of the glass a bit higher, to
Yeah.
leave room for the hands on the dial.
Interesting. That's
And
crazy
because
though.
it's going to be like, it's super crazy. And there you are. I mean, it's just that. And then yesterday I found I'm just pointing to that direction because the archives are there. That Jean-Pierre Gerber, that's the former director of technical bureau here at Zenith. He we are going to eat together next week again, and he was mentioning, oh yeah, I'm thinking about the archives I've gave on the development of the elite caliber. And
Hmm.
you're like, oh, when was it? Okay. So it was before. Then you find them again, and you're like, oh, he had answered the questions in 1994. That's the year it was released, of why they did the things the way they did. And this is the grail of heritage. That's what you always look after, and the colleagues, they ask you, okay, so could we know why? And then you're like in the detective mode and going through the
Yeah.
things and triangulating the things, and there you have it on a plate, on a silver plate. It's okay. So we wanted to do this, and you're like, this never exists. And he
Like,
was answering questions from a journalist, just like you. So no, it's great, and you're as excited. You're just excited, I guess, because it's there. Yeah, there is, Zenith has all the treasures, and it's there, but you don't come to the realization of it being treasures, and until you have a question asking for it.
yeah, no,
So
that makes sense.
my colleague.
Yeah, special
um,
guest. No,
so so
sorry.
so this is what makes it so incredible and exciting, is the fact that it's there for everyone to find it.
Yeah.
But how is it? How is the context with the colleagues, the collectors, the persons that trigger the questions, so that you would come to the realization of it being important?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because I mean I'm a huge watch collector. Not only am I a watch nerd, but I've I've been lucky enough to acquire some Zenith watches in my collection, and I feel like it's such a brand that has such a rich history. And I've said this to Romont, like that, I feel like modern Zenith is underappreciated, like, multiple times. And I think Roman knows that as well. But you're like one of those like nerdy watch brands that like embrace the watch nerds, and I love that in a weird way. No, that's a compliment, of course. But super curious, because as a brand, you guys are known for a lot of like technical firsts. You talked about ceramic, the first fully integrated chronograph, the El Primero. I'm
First,
curious.
yeah,
There's so many other ones that those are the two that most people
yeah.
know. Um,
One
but
of the first that is super important is, of course, the first verticalized manufacturer in Switzerland.
yeah, the first real
And
in-house.
this is what we talked about just now, like celebrating in Watches and Wonders, because this is very important, and it's what explains a lot about the Zenith name. Also, why the Zenith name?
Yeah,
If you are bringing a brand new way of organizing the production, that is a way that was used 15 years before the creation of Zenith in one country, and that was yours, that was in the
yeah.
States by the American Watch Company. So it was something that was only 15 years old, and there, this Georges Fajaco, the founder, this mustache guy, very strong-headed and visionary and everything. He's like, okay, I'm in Loloc. I'm in the capital of chronometry in the world of watchmaking, precision watches. I am going to bring in here what brings more precision and more reliable quality to the production, instead of having the production scattered among diverse workshops, with every workshops being super specialized in one of the operations. Let us bring everyone under one same roof so they would coordinate better. We will bring on interchangeability so the quality would be there, it would be insured, and it would be reproducible. And he's being criticized a lot because you don't just disturb a way of producing
Right.
in the heart of traditional watchmaking, where people believe it has to be done a certain way to keep on the know-hows and so on. So basically what he has to do is to say, okay, now with this, and that was the essence of the manufacturer from the start, I want to create and strive for the perfect watch. And the perfect watch, it's the zenith of what could be done. And if you are doing this, and you just he was very, and his nephew also, that was the second director of Zenith, very versed in marketing. Like, marketing didn't just wait the 50s to exist. They were really strong in that competence as well. And you go with the name that will attract the success, but it's not enough. You also have to prove it. And this is why there is another first in the history of Zenith. It's actually the record number of awards in precision. And among these awards of precision, so at chronometry
Like
international
competitions. Yeah.
competitions,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know how many prizes?
I'm assuming it's going to be more than 100.
It's 2,333
Jeez.
chronometry prizes. So hence you have the question, like, how come? I mean, it's superb and everything, but how come there are so many prices? Obviously, it relies on the quality of the watches, but at first, to have this acknowledged, you have to compete. And each time, this would be like investing in the participation, but also in the development of a dedicated laboratory, a department in the manufacturer that is entirely dedicated in perfecting the movements, just like working on them like racing cars to win the competition. So it's a lot of investment. And why would you do so if you didn't have to prove that your way was best?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And this is also linked to this first verticalization. And then you have like the first 5 years in a row monopolizing the first position in the competition, international competition, with the 135 between 50 and 54.
That's so
I'm
cool.
sure was a bit annoying for the competition.
Yeah. Maybe you should bring.
Yeah, you have lots of things.
Maybe you should bring out one of those competition chronometer pocket watches and a future anniversary.
They are. It's a very, very good idea. They are actually in one of the exhibits from the heritage we have here in house. It's dedicated to precision, of course, and you have like one example of this one watch that just itself won the competition 4 different times in 4 different years.
That seems like a good
it's,
one. Good candidate.
It's the Zenith caliber. So that's the architecture I immediately recognize from the Zenith pocket watches, starting in 1897 for these Zenith pocket watches, and being the core of the watches until nearly the 40s, and even beyond for pocket watches. Yeah, because then they started being developed into wristwatches, and of course being perfected also to that usage.
It was the caliber 135 that won the most awards or something. Isn't that accurate? Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, and
I'm well versed.
Oh wow!
I need to unblur, but no, I've been working on using this for some upside down. Some of this this is my archive.
Yeah. So this is what we just showed is the 150th anniversary book that was done by Zenith 10 years ago exactly, and yeah, it's a great way to go through the different domains that represent Zenith's distinction.
Is there a period, you talked about vertical integration, which I think we all appreciate now. Every single brand is now doing that. What do you feel like in your position? And I've went through this book multiple times. Obviously, I'm working on some projects with you guys. What do you feel like are some of the most underappreciated moments throughout the history of the brand?
It's a good question, because basically 160 years, everything is important. So and really, like being in heritage department, you have no favorites and underappreciated and so on. But it's definitely interesting to go into the first years of the manufacture also. To understand more about this development of this new way of producing, and then you have like the 80s. They are also interesting. You are in a period Like you just reacted this way also, and it's right, because people are like, oh my god, this is where the industry, they lost, like in Chaux-de-Fonds, which is the nearby town, the horological
Yeah.
town, and it was called uh, open air manufacturer that it was so linked to watchmaking, UNESCO recognized, and so on. In the 80s, they lost 3/4 of their employees in watchmaking. And the Confederation of Switzerland even struck the profession watchmaker at that point, because they
Wow.
thought and they believed it was over.
Dead. Yeah.
And going through these crisis times is underrated. That's where you actually find how and why it continued the development. What were the development at that stage? How did they reorganize and so on? And this is where you actually feel the distinction then of okay, oh, I see. When things are doing great, you can benefit from the laurels and so on. Not that Zenith took the easy path, because as you know, the El Primero was developed at the heart of the golden age of Zenith. So basically, what's the most amazing is that they could have really, like, they wanted to celebrate their 100th anniversary with these new feat in watchmaking, never heard of and anything. And they could have said, okay, just like, we take an old caliber and we put on an automatic, like an oscillating mass, and this is it, you know. And they are like, no, 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 we want it to be like the first, but in everything, the first high frequency, we want it to be the first modern
Mm.
chronograph also. So that meant, this is going to be a bit geeky. This was told to us by the makers of the El Primero, which we found back, and they were 23 years old to 30 years old at the time. So we found them back, it was in 2019, so 6 years ago, and
Mm.
like super dynamic guys. And they were like, I asked them, okay, with a technical description of the El Primero in my hand and the plans and everything we have, and I was like, okay, so how would you describe what you see? You know, just
Right.
how would you do? And they're like, uh, it's just what you see. So it's the thinnest, and you're like, what? What? Yeah, 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 of course. Yeah, it's 6.5, and it was supposed to be the thinnest also automatic watch on the market, even though it was a chronograph. And so that was, oh yeah, that was a challenge also. And it took us like so many months just for this thing. And then we were late on the revealing on the El Primero, and you're like, okay, okay, okay. And then they're like, and of course, do you know that at the time they were still filing the functions? So,
No, I didn't know that.
and I mean, it's the way you kind of know this, but you don't know that it's the turning point. And they were like, with the El Primero, we didn't want this. We wanted to have the first modern chronograph, meaning you would stamp all the components to the exact dimensions, that when you assembled it together, you would click and it would work. The
Yeah.
famous stamps, that Charles Velmo hid in the attic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So they were linked with this history as well. And so basically, yeah, Zenith didn't sleep on its laurels. You can see that they really went on first, even amidst the golden ages. But the crisis years are also interesting, because then you get to see how people innovate in these phases, as well as in the golden years.
That's so crazy. I'm sure. So, my question here, and I'm sure everybody who's been in the exact same role as you has asked and answered this question to themselves, but never publicly. What do you define as a Zenith watch? Like, is it movement, design? Is it the philosophy? Is it like everything combined? Like, what is the epitome of a Zenith watch when you guys are producing or reviving, or, what is that to you?
It's actually, as an anthropologist, I just want to ask you to ask you
Please.
back. It's actually, it's from my perspective, it's really a researcher perspective. A Zenith watch is a watch that bears the Zenith name and or was developed by the manufacturer. And there
Sure.
is nothing too abstract about it. You
Oh
have
yeah.
sources to acknowledge the development. So that's how you can determine, okay, this is definitely a Zenith watch, and this part, or maybe it was the watch has lived a bit, and
Yeah.
maybe it's not as it was when it left the manufacturer, because you see the sources and you're like, okay, so this has changed a bit and so on. And so you go through these sources, and they are the connection to acknowledge the belonging of Zenith. But what do you think?
I think, well, obviously precision, right? To me, I think heritage, right? Ironically, I think when I think about a Zenith watch, I think about historical accuracy. And then I guess the thing that kind of spins on my wheels is the finishing, the attention to detail, the decoration, yeah, I Zenith is a brand is weird to me because you guys are like you're like too like bipolar in the sense because you're pushing the envelope in terms of technical achievements, right? Still to this day, but then you have a whole second department of, or maybe like a customer fan base like me that loves all the historical like reproductions or even the vintage pieces, right? So you're like, there's no middle ground for Zenith. You're like, the heritage team and then the modern team.
Yeah, actually, it's very interesting because we're the first heritage department, to my knowledge, to be part of the development team. So right now, and for I think it started already in 2019,
Mm,
the heritage department is part of the development team. It's we work really. My closest colleagues are the designing team,
yeah.
and this is because it is it is alive. The heritage is not the past, and you should never reproduce the past. So there is no contradiction between the past and the modern. You can
Mm,
see it like a pyramid, the offer of Zenith. So you have like the core collection. They are all about the new developments never heard of, and this is going to be the heritage of tomorrow. Then you have the watches for the vintage lovers gone modern. Like ones that like the vibe of yeah, they like the vibe of the vintage look, but they still want to have like the last technical developments available
yeah.
and a modern twist. And on this, I will come back to this, but on this segment, even and especially on this segment, you never copy the past. So you have
Mm,
this vibe, but it's always possible to distinguish it from one single glance to the original ones, which are at the top of the offer.
yeah.
That's the icons. That's the vintage original watches that are basically like, if you want to go into the past, really, then you go and you hunt for these watches, then you bring them back here, you restore it in the pure 100% restoration ethic that is not servicing, that's not like exchanging components. It's servicing the Zenith way, in the way that you have actually a choice. And in this case, we take the option of keeping everything original, and everything that wasn't original, we replace it with something that an original component, or a component that is reproduced in this way, completely faithful to the original plans and everything that we have, of course, at disposition. So certification and so on. So basically, that's the integration of the past and the modern, but we never, I hope people don't feel of heritage as being something that you have to look back to. It's the heritage is what it's the identity of the manufacturer of a company, and it is ever evolving as the distinction of the company evolves. It's what you retain from what was already done that helps you distinguish the proposition of this company today.
That makes sense. And so it's very challenging. It's very challenging, like this whole concept and strategy and even execution. But you talked about the pyramid, right? So at the bottom, your core collection, and then the top being, your or the middle being
base,
your modern.
that's the foundation.
Yeah.
The foundation is always about the new. You always project in the foundation, you always project yourself into what hasn't been done, and that is keeping with the distinction, the identity of Zenith, but in a completely new way, with that is embodying today's possibility, the crazy creative ideas of our development teams and so on. And if they want to inspire themselves on a vintage model, like for the extreme diver, just taking this example, then first they go through understanding why the vintage divers were developed, in which context, what they were striving for, what they had at their disposal to achieve it. And then they say, okay, now that the heritage is there for this, it's to make this contextualization and to dig in, to research the data, so that they have this idea. And then basically for the vintage diver watches, they didn't certify them as diver watches. They didn't need to, because at the time it was like they called in for a press conference. They were on the border of the channel, in Ostend, actually, so up north, and they were like, they had all these journalists, ferry boats attached the DeFi under DeFi ferry boats, made them have going going in one direction, then coming back. And then they tested it, and they were like, so there is no single drop of humidity in there, even though it remained more than an hour under the sea, with all the turbulences, impacts, difference of temperature. It's precise as it was, and so on. And this was their certification. So basically, our teams, knowing this, they were like, oh, but we are going to, like complete the story, but with a completely new take on what should be a vintage, a diver
Modern.
watch
Yeah.
today. So, like with some new material, you have the luminescence also that is essential to this model. You have
Yeah.
you also have the all the shock tests and everything, and completely you have this vibe. You can connect the two, but you can never see something that repeats itself.
That makes a lot of sense. And I love that. I just love that. I love that. To me, when I, as a third party, when I look down at the Zenith brand and I look at the collection, it seems like you guys are using the Defy collection as like your sandbox, right? Where you guys have the most fun, you do the most experimentation. You guys have a little bit of fun in the Chronomaster collection. Like, don't get me wrong there, but it seems like, I mean, we
GHG and
talked,
so on.
yeah, we talked
Yes,
about
yeah.
this, that the whole Defy collection was like a rebellious collection, like in our last conversation.
This dates
And
actually from 2017. This take on the DeFi pillar, the DeFi statement from the start is a watch that would defy any shocks that would have reason of any other watch. So that would break any other watch. So we are not far from saying, okay, it defies the tradition, basically. And this is what our teams of direction, product, development, they were like, okay, so we have all these crazy ideas again, and we want to try them, and there are so many possibilities, and go to the defying the limit and the boundaries is what we can do with Defy because of the name that Zenith has and others don't have it. But do you know when it was trademarked? The
yeah,
name Zenith.
it was like in like 1910 or something, right? Somewhere around there. Like, it was a long time ago.
1902.
Okay, I knew it was a long time ago. And then,
And you're very close, and it's actually the first use of this name. I suspect it was even before 1902, but it was trademarked officially in 1902. And you have also the pilot collection. This is very interesting because we were talking about the first. So
yeah,
Zenith first and only one to have trademark and being able to trademark, hence the name Pilot. So this is 1888, 1888. It's very easy to remember, and you're like, oh my god, this is like a treasure uh,
yeah,
that that we can benefit from, and lots of others are jealous of this possibility and so on. So with this, it was the opportunity to have the identity of a pilot watch and what people usually connect them with evolve towards the 21st century with a more like organic watch that is like a second skin
yeah,
that reacts immediately with this 0.007 second jump on the double date. Very difficult on the technical level, and this is like treasure for the heritage in 20 years because this was documented, and let's see if it interests them also in 20 years. That's the a bit of the what I was saying. Their treasures. Now, what do you make out of this? And so you going further means in this case for the pilot that you could also use the name pilot on the dial to still attest this is a pilot watch.
nobody else can do that.
And this was done. So you're perfectly right. You have like this challenge of boundaries. This is definitely the DeFi collection. and the pilot is going through this instrument watch, but in a much more agile way that talks to the need of own ergonomics of the owner. They want to be able to wear it with whatever they wear, like smoking if they want to, and so on, and not be forced to bring in the leather jacket. And then, of course, the chronomaster. And this is the hard exercise also from my colleagues from design team. That's basically the chronomaster. It has to keep in with this legacy master of chronograph, but still, they are we just had the meteorite chronomaster gone out with this press release sent by my lovely colleague Isabel, and it's like, okay, I mean, you can't say that it's not innovation, huh? It's super innovative to have it in an El Primero and so on, because you're like, okay, so what is the word of this, and how is it connected, and it makes sense because of the possibility to have this innovative way of showcasing a dial that has otherwise remained the same, more or
Yeah.
less, for more than 50 years. So, yeah,
It's also very much on brand because Zenith, right, is the highest star in the sky, right? That's what it
it
means, from
is
my
the point.
understanding.
It's the highest point. No, it's the point that is vertically positioned above your head. So it is the highest point. To see a point that is at your zenith, then you need to do this, to tilt your head, and hence to reach for
So
something that is almost unreachable. So the perfect watch.
so with that in mind, you guys take a lot of inspiration from the, astronomical inspiration, right? So like, you see all these other brands that have meteorite dials, but like your entire brand is based on the stars and the highest star in the sky. um I was looking back as I was prepping for this interview. I went back and listened to my interview with Romain, and
Mhm.
we had talked briefly about one of my friends here in Vegas. She used to sell Zenith watches, and the retailer, I don't know what happened, but the retailer no longer sells your brand. And every time I walk in there, like, I'm wearing one of my Zenith watches, like, just because I know she's obsessed with the
It's a
brand.
provocation.
Yeah. And something that it made her obsessed with the brand was, she had sold so many of your watches and she reached a certain milestone. But what the leadership team did was they bought a star in the sky for
You're
her
right.
and named it after her son. And they gave her like a certification that says, "Hey, here's your star named after your son." And
I
we
want
have
to
a watch.
see that. I mean, this is part of heritage. I want to see that. Yeah,
I'll text her and
definitely.
I'll text you.
Yeah, yeah. Really.
And
Yeah.
so for me, just seeing her passion for the brand, I have maybe 9 Zenith watches or something. And so obviously I can only wear one at a time, right? Well, maybe I could wear 2, but I choose to wear one. And I let her borrow like one of, like, I have like a gold Stellatina.
Mhm.
And I just got that back from her, and she had it for like over a year. And yeah, I how, like, it's like, how can I ask for that back because she loves it so much? But it's my watch. Um, curious. So when you guys are going through the revival like process or reissues, you guys call them revivals. Um, and when I was going through the attic, like, and you have
Mhm.
everything organized by caliber, right? Like, and there's a bunch of empty spaces there. So I'm assuming that you guys are using all the original tooling. You guys are, pulling all the archives that you have, and obviously there wasn't CAD back in the day, but any blueprints or diagrams or drawings, like, and so when you guys are doing your revivals, it's all about historical accuracy. Is that right?
So first about the attic. The attic is a very special place because it's the only place where you don't touch. I told you about like heritage, it has to be lived, it's not about the past and so on. But in the attic, that's where Charlie hid the stamps of the El Primero and all the plans and everything that were used afterwards to relaunch it into production. And it's actually the place where people before him, that all the generations of Zenithians, they brought in the tools, the stamps that they weren't using anymore into production. So basically, you have a place that is incredible, out of time, that tells the story of all the people that brought in what they weren't using anymore. And this you don't touch because you don't want it to tell your history of what you think, how you think it should be showcased.
Yeah.
It tells the history of all these generations bringing their consideration into this place.
No,
So
I
what
was
they
I was
preserve.
I was
And
laughing.
I understand your point. It's then you're like because it's very tempting, actually.
Yeah.
You
Oh
have
yeah.
the stamps of the 135 there.
Yeah. But
It's a
it just
good
so
thing
so did
that
you guys have to
as
reproduce them, like, or did you just
you
not?
wouldn't, we have the original plans of the 135, of course, and these they were used to be challenged. So what we did with the GFG collection, that's the fourth pillar of Zenith collections, it's that so I gave to the technical bureau all the technical plans, vintage plans of the 135. They developed it in 3D on the CAD. Well, not CAD, but on their program. And with this, they had a 2D development, like drawing of the movement that they were doing. You were saying that there was not CAD at the time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
of course they were from the start.
Drawing.
They were people that drew plans, and
Yeah.
that every time they had to make a change to perfect it, they had to do a new plan or to actually go over the plan and so on. So you can imagine the possibilities of perfecting the calibers, and these calibers, they want precision awards. So no problem at the time. But today, the powerful tools that we have at our disposition to actually re-challenge everything in the 135 to make it even more the perfect watch of what people would expect today. So basically, we are for the developments, we use these sources, but just as again a first step to then re-challenge it. In the segment that interests you, the revival, because you're
Yeah.
a vintage lover,
I
gunmother.
am.
So
That's why
in
we're
this
friends.
segment, we have from the start put a rule together with Romain Marietta.
Yeah.
You never want to copy a vintage watch because you don't never want to lessen the rarity of an original vintage watch. So basically, you can keep the proportions, and for this, of course, you have the help of the plans, the original plans, but also of the watches from the collection. Like there's more than 5,000 pieces in the collection. And the technical bureau takes them, they reconstruct them, and then there is the twist. And the twist is brought in by the technical bureau and by the designing team. From both sides, they are re-challenging what could be perfected. And there is a modern twist on the dial. You always have a transparent caseback in honor of the manufacturing legacy. And you always have the newest logo of the company on the crown. So basically, from every angle you see it, everyone can be able to tell the difference of the original and the revival. This is important.
That makes sense. Yeah, when I went to the 160th, I've got a poster over here on my wall for all the different logos, and that to me is so cool. I'm curious. Obviously, you're working with the design team, like you said. Let's go through the process of the whole revival, like in your mind, like you stumble upon an archive, maybe a piece in the vault or whatever, and you go up to Roman and we're like, hey, like this is the piece we need to bring back to life. I can't imagine it being that simple. But walk us through like the process of bringing it back to life, how much input do you have in the product design, when it comes to a new piece like this one.
So basically, we have no favorites at Heritage, like I was saying. So I'm definitely not the one going to Romain and saying, okay, this is like superb and it should be done again. It is actually the direction, the markets, the product, the designing team that they know, and it's true. I also give feedback on what is in the air in terms of preferences, what people what make people tick a bit, and what interests them, and then the direction, the markets, there are so many models that they would dream, because everyone they have favorites. No, but I mean, it's the best, because they actually live in this creation thing, and they have the feeling that they find some treasures and so on, so that is unique, and they're like, oh, this would be so cool. And to revive this, it actually has to be distinctive, to make sense also, because of this distinction. This comes from heritage, but it also has to actually find its market, and to be something that my colleague Sébastien, who's the director of design, he would say it shouldn't be too outdated, because otherwise it would be too niche, and we are not we are not fearing the fact that we are different. We are for we also aim at people that are really like lovers of the belle horlogerie, the beautiful watchmaking, like going. You were asking what Zenith watch was about in terms of philosophy, and I think it is about everyone here at the manufacturer. If you asked this person for the part that regarded its part of the development, why it's so, they have an answer. I mean, they don't leave the thing unexplained, like, oh, just because, why? Really, it's a great. I would be interested if you could also challenge it from yourself, because I always get an answer, and this is great. So coming back to what we were saying, it's not just about just because we like them or because we think it's fantastic. This is not a good enough reason. You have also to think about where it's going to fit in and the way it's going to support the developments for the future. And this is how it works from the ignition part. And then you have the process of documenting the original one with the coherence, so contextualizing and everything, but also with the sources, giving it to the technical bureau. They develop something. It's being challenged by design and put into this mind of revival collection, the rules and what they want to do with it, also with this specific model, and then with this saying, okay, is this something that is going to click? Is this something that is going to be in tomorrow's distinction of what distinguishes Zenith as well? Is it going to last also? If it does, it's released.
Are there any references? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say,
the production part, of course, is I'm not dismissing it. You see it. It's what's happening in the complete buildings over there, and of course, once it's developed, it needs to be produced, and this is another part of the development with control and something, so on.
Setting all that aside, is there a piece that you personally found in the archives that you wish would be revived?
Nope.
Oh yeah.
I love. No. I mean, for example, let me show you this. So
okay.
I love this watch. Okay, this is my personal watch here. This is Captain. You see the spaceship filling?
Yeah.
We are in 1967 with this. The indexes, they are actually like faceted indexes. You have this in white gold, yellow gold. This one is steel, and it has this pop design because of this Art Deco vibe, futurist look. It's incredible. But I have the original one. You see, and I'm a geek for the heritage of the future. I mean, I love the poker chip and how their take on this, and the fact that you really, I mean, you're in Vegas.
Yeah.
You surely enjoy it, I'm sure. I mean, it's incredible what they had done. They have realized the potential of this watch from today's perspective, I think, and it's great, and I can't wait for other development like this. But I'm a fan of the this gravity, this zero gravity defies and things that you think, oh my god, they are out of this world. This is I want the watch from the future. I mean, this is what when you stop doing this, it's and the company would never stop doing this. I mean, it's basically you're losing tomorrow's heritage. So why?
Yeah,
I perfectly understand the revival. Like I was saying, it's completing the potential.
Yeah.
But it's as I was saying, the core and the foundation of what pumps up the energy, the dynamic, the flood in this manufacturer. It's all about these new developments that have not yet come. I mean, you were naming yourself the GFG, yeah? I mean, it's exciting. You get something that is so much linked to an emblem of watchmaking. Yet you can compare the vintage watch, and I was wearing a vintage one from the 135 and from the museum collection on the at Watches and Wonders, just to make the exercise. It's a very early model, and you have this model, and I was putting it next to the new GFG and saying, okay, now just point to me something that is identical either on the movement or on the case.
Mm.
And I invite the people, the
Listeners?
community
Yeah.
that looks at this process to really do the exercise. It's a game really where you're like, oh, but there, it's definitely the same vibe, but nothing is identical.
Yeah. I've been I'm begging for a Big Lemon revival. Like
You know,
that to
these
me.
were 1,000 feet, 1,000 meter
Yeah.
waterproof.
Yeah, not that I need that, but um I'm the guy. I'm your ideal demographic because I love the vintage aesthetic, but I love the modern twist. I love the silicon, I love like the exhibition case back. And yeah, the big lemons are impossible to find. And so like when you guys just re-released you just came out with a new diver, like maybe I don't know, like it was like a couple weeks ago and or a couple months ago, and Jessica had pictures, like she was teasing. She's big on Instagram, so had a bunch of lemons in her hand, and I was
It's
like,
so
oh
cool.
shit,
Yeah.
is this what I think it is? And I texted her like big lemon, and she's like, we'll see. And then I was like, and then it didn't come, and I was like, oh man, damn it, like, but no, that's one of my favorite Zenith watches like ever. Right. Like right there with the Defy, like the original Defies.
It's incredible. It's incredible,
Um,
yeah, it's definitely like a lemon. I mean, the case also, and
yeah,
to have these being 1,000 meter waterproof at the time, it's madness.
yeah, crazy.
And
Um, are are there? Do you still feel like I mean, because like you said, there's over 5,000 watches, and there's almost over a kilometer of archives. Like I can't imagine in your
it's more
entire
than 1 kilometer. Yeah,
yeah,
it's 1.3. So yeah,
I can't imagine in your entire career that you have the possibility to go through all of that stuff.
no.
Um, like, so I'm assuming there's still undiscovered gems in the catalog that maybe every single day you're hoping to kind of stumble upon. Um, and curiously, because I'm a nerd, like, how do you even store all that? Like, do you guys have like a vault with just a bunch of like documents in it? Like, do you have like, have you digitized everything? Like, what do you guys? How do you guys keep up with all that?
So very excited. We are right now these more than 1.3 kilometer 1 kilometer archives, so 1.3 currently. They are being centralized, meaning they are being brought together in two different parts of the manufacture where they will be like for the first time all together in two main places. And this is
Mm.
definitely this is the gift that Zenith is giving itself for the 160th anniversary. And it's bit no really, and it's because we built a library, and all these archives, they to know how many there are. It's actually, I was just going through the conservation of these archives in every department, because they are the ones that brought it for now. So it
Yeah.
didn't just like the heritage department. It dates from the 1980s already
Mm.
at Zenith, very early.
Yeah, yeah,
But of course, they didn't wait 1980 to start keeping their timekeepers and archives. that's why we have like so rich documentation. Now, we have never had it in, it's so large, we have had never had it in two different places, and even the idea is bringing it to one place. And there it's definitely, when you have everything like next to each other in an architecture, then you find other things that you were looking for and you didn't know they belong together. So that's the big possibility, and basically the fact that we are continuously finding out new things. It's based on the fact that our interests and the questions, they change first, and this is valid for everything that regards heritage, but also the way it is being like brought together as a tool. And on these archives, you never digitize everything. Otherwise, you have lots of noise in the data.
Yeah.
It's impossible to find something. So it always has to go with how you hierarchy the information, and you give the hierarchy to the information. And in this case, there are four levels of priority. I'm just talking about the first one here. It's everything that documents the production and the end products. These are digitized. Then you
Got
have like it's a complete word in itself. You can go through the finance of the manufacturer, through the juridic contracts and everything. This is of course most interesting, but this is for internal use, and it doesn't help identifying the production. And
right.
this is why it's the priority of digitization is on what helps us to identify and certify and contextualize the end products. And
Fair.
about the collections, they are of course involved, but they are also in a semi-permanent exhibition inside the manufacturer,
Yeah, yeah,
where they are. That's what you saw, and
yeah.
it's they change, but they are actually there to enhance the distinction and the identity of Zenith. And then you have, of course, punctual and temporal and changing exhibitions all around the world that are there to give the context, not in words handwritten, but in realization around the developments, the current, what Zenith is doing currently, where you can just link it with very fast, like, oh, I understand where it comes from.
Right. Curious. So, obviously the 1970s were a difficult period for Zenith. Obviously the quartz crisis. Obviously the struggles in different ownerships taking place and trying to take the brand into a different direction. I don't know if this question has ever been asked or answered, or maybe there was a very simple answer, but there was a period where Zenith Radio Corporation, ordered the destruction of all the mechanical, from my understanding, mechanical watchmaking components, right? That, and is
No, it's not
that's the story?
components.
Was it
It's
the
based,
diagrams or the machinery?
you know, American companies. Well, Americans love saying that the bad guys are the Swiss people. Like, you should
No,
go
we're
to
the bad guys. We're the bad
no, no,
guys.
you should go to Hamilton. I worked at the NAWCC in Colombia
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the Hamilton archives that are there. It's a treasure. And for them, the bad guys are Swiss people.
Hmm.
And in Switzerland, they love making the bad guys Americans. I mean, bottom line is there was a revolution, technical revolution, and that was a radical revolution, not just incremental innovation. So the ones that really like change the way you would ever produce something. They didn't have to order anything. They just said, okay, now we have to go towards the future, and the mechanical watches, they are not selling the way they were selling before. So we have all these components. Now let's assemble what we have and go through with our stocks before continuing producing everything new in terms of mechanical watches. And this is why actually the El Primero never got interrupted, the assembly of the El Primero. What got interrupted was the production of new components for the El Primero. They had it in stocks. And hence the machinery. And basically the machinery that was used to do this, they were like, okay, what's it doing here? I mean, we don't need it anymore. We are not going to do new components on these machines. So they were sold. But as you know, the tools and the documentation and the plans, they didn't have to express the fact that they weren't useful anymore. They just didn't answer Charles Vermeaux's letter about having a safe place to put them and preserve them for if the fashion was going to change again.
Sure.
And if we ever were to reproduce the El Primero. So they just didn't answer his letter. They were like, okay. And this is what Charles says in his in the video, where he was. This is an extraordinary document. An interview in 1991, where it's the public television in.
I saw it. It's on the TV
in
the attic.
Exactly, that's the only thing we added there, where he can tell his history with his own words, and he was like, it's not only the direction. His colleagues, they were like, Charlie, you're being sentimental. It's all over. Go on, evolve, go towards the future. He's like, I mean, I'm not against the future. He was the developer of the El Primero, one of the developers of the El Primero, meaning he actually was the head of the blanks production. So he knew. I mean, okay, you have to evolve. His brother was in charge of the stamps, the stamping tool. So he knew about developing new things, exciting things, and so on. But he was like, okay, but let's not be hasty about this, because this has real quality, and this, as a qualitative thing, should remain at our disposal so that we can still do something with it. And he was right.
Is there a way that, or maybe is there some type of indicator as during that period, like how much of the archive, like, did you guys lose any archives during that period? Like, was there anything?
No.
Nothing? Really?
No. That's, you know, the biggest luck Zenith has is that you have seen the buildings, and I trust, I mean, if you haven't seen it, to our viewers, go see the buildings of the manufacturer. It's 19 buildings. It's an industrial empire. This is what it means to verticalize the production. So from the start, it was built super large, and we never had the problem of place. So basically, Zenith never moved. And since, I mean, you were talking about the 70s being difficult years, but we never failed. I mean, Zenith never closed its doors. It never lost, it never went through a bankruptcy where nowadays you find by strange places bits of heritage from other companies because it was sold through bankruptcy auctions. And this never happened to Zenith. So they always had like all these plays, and when you don't move, when you don't cease to exist, then basically you never go through sorting the things out. And this sorting that we are doing right now with building this heritage platform, basically bringing everything together, this is something that never really had to do before. So
Mm.
basically, yeah, that's the big luck, and that's the one of the big reason it has all the archive. And then there is
Yeah.
one more thing that is really unexpected. Uh, the fact that Zenith always ensured the repairability
Yeah.
of its references. Now, this is linked to the verticalization of the manufacturer. Doing this, you bring an interchangeability. Then, if you have interchangeable parts and you ensure the repairability of the quality, then you need to have the archives to offer this service. So,
Sure.
where are the production registers in the manufacturer? At the customer service? Because they needed to have it. I mean, now they are digitized, but they needed to have it daily to check. Okay, now I received this watch. It's over a century old. It seems now. What is it? What is the caliber? Where can I find the pieces and to the components, the original components, to refurbish it or to repair it or everything, and the link to plans to refabricate the components. So this is next to this like big luck. This is a question of vision. This is one of a kind. I would really say that in the case of Zenith, this explains a lot. Yeah.
Do you feel like customers care more about heritage now than they did like 10 or so years ago, or maybe even longer? I can see the smile on your face.
Um,
Like, I think I already know what you're gonna say.
10 years ago, I was in a museum. So, no, actually, I
Mm.
was just starting my work at Zenith, but I never ceased to work also on the side for museums, and I'm teaching and so on. So, always in heritage. So, it's basically no, they had this interest, but maybe it's showcased a bit more in these past years because there is also an engagement from the companies towards what what they have done and what distinguishes them, and there they go in and enhance also pieces from the past that might have served as inspiration, and this might also help for the general enthusiasm. And this is great because this is basically ensuring the preservation of the pieces that are this ingredient we need together with the archives, with the testimonies from the time, with even the buildings, the original buildings it was done it to really contextualize what was done and why it was done. So yeah.
Amazing. Curious about, so you're wearing a captain. Is that like your personal favorite Zenith watch, or what's your personal favorite Zenith watch, modern or historical?
What do you think?
I mean, if you're wearing it, uh, I mean, the Chronomaster probably, maybe. I feel like that's a cliche
Yes.
answer.
I mean, I really don't have a favorite. I have my my I have a pleasure, a great pleasure, to wear things that I never get bored with. I mean, where you have it on your wrist, and from a different angle you see something you hadn't noticed before, and something, it never gets like, oh yeah, it's just what I already know. And
Yeah.
these are, I guess it's the same for you, no?
Kind of, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. A little bit. I don't know. I've like
I
changed my
love,
mind
I
like
mean,
10 times.
my colleague Sebastian from I was talking about him before.
Yeah.
He's basically wearing the watches they develop for 3 weeks or so, and see if he gets bored by something. And if he
I
gets
love
bored,
that.
then you know,
That's a dream
it's
job
great.
right
I
there.
mean, and it's so it's basically, yeah, why wear something that everyone is different. We all have good reasons of preferring one thing to the other. There might be also a very strong connection with what you recognize in it. So that's true as well, and this is important as well. For me, it's about the curiosity.
I'm starting to understand a little bit more, not only you but like historian background. And there's always like a joke that goes around, I guess maybe it's in America or maybe you've heard it, but the Swiss has always been neutral, right? That's the joke, right? So funny because you interpret that into your work as well. You know, you talked about maintaining a sense of neutrality, that like, you know, you don't want to prioritize this piece or that piece, like it's just all you have an emotional attachment to the stories around it and the documents behind it, but not the specific contents behind those
Yeah, it's
documents and archives.
very
Is that
that
correct?
that would that was perfect. It's and it's not even a really emotional. I mean, it's, I guess it's enthusiasm, but
Mm,
it will be interesting to see what my homologues from the other companies, and I'm sure you know we are very much connected, because this is like it's a small family. You know, we come from the the same kind of route, or we have crossed path, we have worked together in the past or something, and it's a great community also, and it would be interesting to see what's their take on this. Maybe, I mean, if I can uh, dare to summarize a bit the kinds of
sure.
postures I've seen in the direction of the heritage department so far, they are the scientifics. They have no favorites. I mean, we have no favorites. It's all about research, and
Yeah.
so it's not about liking something. It's about finding out. And
Right.
so there is this scientific researcher's perspective. There is the collector's perspective. Exciting, because it's something, a new way of looking at the value of what was done.
Right.
Um Rare is best, maybe for them, or for me. I mean, rare is interesting because it says that it wasn't a bestseller in its days,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
example. So it kind of develops it's like a portal to better understand in which in what how it worked. You don't make just 5 pieces for something that is sold out. So
Yeah.
it's but for the collector's point of view, it's that, and some of them are really great heritage directors as well. They come from this perspective, and they have their favorites, I guess,
Mm,
and then you have another very interesting posture there, that these are persons that evolved through the company. They were doing another job, like being in customer service or in markets, international markets or something. And suddenly, like, they have gained so much knowledge about the brand as they know it and so on, that they are in charge of like heritage, and
Right.
they have another view. And this is so far the different postures I see, and it will be interesting to see how they what are their methods and so on, because we exchange, of course, between each other. And I can already see that we all have our strengths, and these perspectives, and they are very important, again, to shift your usual perspective and bring you to a new understanding. We should always challenge our own perspective this way. And the collectors, they bring in their own perspective as well. And don't talk about the heritage directors now, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
the community. And you have like the historians and the fellow researchers and the stylists and so on. It's never understanding something is never something you can do with your own brain only. It's networking information and perspectives.
I'm curious about like your experience. Like what is the most memorable story that you have personally encountered that is tied to a Zenith watch?
Oh, I want so badly to tell you.
Ah.
But this is on the wall there. So we are in 46,
Yeah.
1946. That's an excerpt from the Journal Suisse d'Horlogerie. I'm sure you know it. It's a
Yes.
very well-known journal. These
Yeah. Yeah.
are some of the newest examples. And you there is this guy that's actually the former director of the Anthropological Museum in Neuchâtel,
Mm.
that goes to Africa in Niger, and in Sahara, is completely amidst Sahara, and he is on his studies. He goes to interview the chief of a very important Tuareg group, and they talk together. And it seems that the chief asked him, "Okay, so where are you from?" and so on, France, and so on. And he says, "No, I'm from Switzerland." And then the
Mm.
guy takes a minute, thanks, and the other guy is like, "What is he going to tell me about that we are neutral?" No, and then he's like, "Watches, Zenith." And the guy, the Jean Gabu, that was this director, he's like, "Oh my God, this is an acknowledgement of the expertise of my state. It's in
Yeah.
Neuchâtel, and we are so proud and so on. I mean, on all the international watchmaking, and then he comes back to Switzerland with this. He comes to Zenith, so at the very location I talked to you from, and he's telling the story, and the the product department promises him a watch that would be sandproof, and that would resist the high temperature differences that you can live in the Sahara. And so they give him they provide him with this special watch and so on. He comes back there on his the continuation of his study, is welcomed from the brother of the guy he had talked to, who is now the new chief, because his brother just passed away, it seemed. and the guy greets him and thank him for the Zenith watch, and it's like it's actually a friend that sent me. You know, we were talking about the importance of the network.
Yeah.
Lorenzo Maillard. He's from the Maya dynasty of Europa Star, and he sent this to me. Like, did you know about the story? I mean, it's an incredible story. So yeah, there's just one on the top of my head that I
That
mean,
needs to be like a Hollywood movie or something, like Hollywood movie
it's,
level storytelling.
it's
Uh,
endearing. You know, in Watches and Wonders, this is actually thanks to this story that I put also a Zenith advertisement in a language. I mean, lots of people wouldn't even be able to translate, which is actually Tigrinya. So we are talking from a beautiful and very old language sourced in Ethiopia, and you can only decipher one word, and that's Zenith. And this is an advertisement from the 1920s.
that's so
It's like,
cool.
oh wow.
Do you guys, you talked a lot about working together with other assuming historians and collectors and museums, like um and what is that process like, for somebody in your role?
I mainly work with my colleagues, of course,
Hmm.
and with the, I mean, through the connection with the community that has a Zenith watch, because we, as you know, we offer a service of identification, certification of watches. So this is the this is the triggering element. Now it's on the side in the many other caps I'm enjoying having
Mm,
next to Zenith work, so teaching and working in museum and so on, committees, that you actually see things you wouldn't expect and hear things you wouldn't expect and so on. Of course, there is always the confidentiality element, but that's on the new developments.
sure.
It's never, there is no competition in things that were already developed.
Right.
These we basically, it's a small word. Huh? Watchmaking is a small word, and heritage word is a small word within this word. So basically, you cross path on wherever you are doing outside of your job.
Yeah. Amazing. Curious. I mean, we have taken up so much of your time. Please tell us what is next for you and your heritage team.
It's actually all about this heritage platform. We are looking really forward. We are working as we speak to centralize all the collections together, and this means being able to dig into the first years also of the manufacturer, where there are all the reports of direction and things like this. Amazing sources again for the history of watchmaking, and otherwise, let me see. Let me see. I think it's about just the daily work of discovering new things you wouldn't even have expected to discover when you woke up in the morning. So,
Are
yeah.
we gonna get any surprises or maybe archival reveals or maybe see some of your investigative work in the near current or the near collections to come?
I think we have something together coming up, which is behind of the behind the scene of the work conducted by the customer service, and it's
You're alluding to
something
my
that is
project.
also, yeah, and this is of course something where we are going to go over what amazing job these guys are doing, and the ethics of not changing components.
Yeah.
that's really like working with the originality and so on. But to do so, we will have to go to have a little peek into what's the originality, how we the sources based on which we
Yeah.
can say what was what, and so yeah, this is
You
going
let
to come.
you let the cat out of the bag. So for everybody that doesn't know, Laurence and I, Laurence went through my entire vintage watch collection, vintage Zenith watch collection, of course, and specifically chose a piece from my collection to restore. And she chose the Defy Spaceman. And that's going to get sent back to her and her team, and we're going to document the entire process of bringing my watch back to, well, preserving its future glory, I guess, is because it's already glorious, but making sure that it gets taken care of, and servicing it, and trying to bring it back to, you know it's glory, I guess. I don't know what the right word is.
It's basically going into the process of every watch coming to the manufacturer, and its path and how it is dealt with and so on. So yeah,
I'm
we're very
super excited.
excited about this, because as you know, we love having people at the manufacturer. Eva, who you mentioned, does an extremely good job with hospitality department she directs to welcome everyone that she can, because it's a tight schedule and so on. But that's a chance to showcase it also to the ones that couldn't come to Le Locle and at the heart of the manufacturer here, and see how we do things. We are
Yeah.
really very happy to share this.
Yeah. No, when I put together the manufacturer tour video, there wasn't, to my research, there wasn't really like a manufacturer tour video at the time. There was one that I saw, and it was more like a news outlet saying, "Oh, here we are at Zenith." Da 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 da. It wasn't like a watch nerd's perspective into the manufacturer tour. And we did ours over a year ago, a year and a half ago, and then now Teddy came and like did his, and I'm like, okay, cool, like this is great. This he dived in a little deeper than I would have, because of time constraints.
Different
And
perspective that we were talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I find myself trying to consolidate as much information as possible. Like I spent 4 hours, 5 hours with Ava, maybe. And I output a 3-minute video, a 3-minute manufacturer tour video, 3.5, 4 minutes, whatever. And that to me is how I challenge myself, very similar to you every day in your role. But thank you again for spending so much time with us. This has been an amazing first for us. I am so glad that you came on. I knew I had to invite you on when I met you, when we were, you revealed our project. But I could just tell the passion, the enthusiasm, right? For your career, and just when you started talking about specifically my watch, you were so enthusiastic about it, so excited, and I just knew I had to invite you on, and so thank you for coming on and spending some time with us and giving my audience an insight into our conversation, into your mind, your role. Like this is truly special. And I try and deliver as much watch nerd content as I can. And thank you for helping me to deliver on yet another amazing episode.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone had fun also, and it's been an honor to be live in Las Vegas, from Las Vegas
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So no, that's great. Thank you so much, Blake, and And thank you everyone for watching this. We are looking forward to meet you sometime also.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't already, Zenith does do manufacturer tours to the public. You can go on their website, you can register, get a taste of the history that this is an incredibly rich brand. My friends make fun of me because I'm so obsessed with Zenith because they have nothing else to make fun of, right? But it's in my opinion, it's truly a unique brand. I love the story. I love the brand. I love the DNA. I love the storytelling. You guys truly get that part of the watch community that you guys really take us on a romantic journey. And just even being, you talked about the attic, like just being there felt so special. And I told Jessica, my friend Jessica, she's your West Coast rep. Like I dreamed to come one day to the attic, and she helped me achieve that dream. And Ava and all you guys have been so accommodating. So yeah, I can't thank you guys enough, and I can't wait for us to show our project, our second project to the world here. So
it's superb. And if you can put a link towards the tourist office, where people can actually register, and this is part of UNESCO, so everyone is welcome. They just go through the tourist office and you will have the possibility to visit the manufacturer.
We're gonna link everything through to the bottom. Make sure you guys check it out. I'm sure you guys already know about Zenith. I don't need to say that, but make sure if you ever in Switzerland, this is something that you have to do, in my opinion. So again, Laurence, I want to thank you for spending just over, nearly 2 hours of us nerding out here. But thank you for spending so much time with us. And I can't wait to talk to you here soon.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Ciao, ciao.